Hi everybody, Bob Bloom back with you, and we're talking about asset protection, and in particular we're talking about the part of asset protection that is lawsuit protection. I want to talk to you about how very vulnerable we all are in our daily lives because of simply the way we typically own our assets. And it's pretty shocking to most people because I want to show you the sources of these lawsuits that we typically are really not even aware of. A major source of lawsuit is divorce. I mean, look at the divorce rate in our country. And people often don't think of this as a lawsuit, but come on. It's a court, judges, settlements, judgments. Am I right? Yeah? Mm-hmm. And here's the problem. It's called no-fault divorce, which means you don't have to do anything wrong to get sued this way. And that kind of lawsuit can literally wipe you out. This is one of the most common sources of lawsuits. And I might add personal loss of money. Another big way people get sued is because you own a business and you have one person working for you. They do something wrong, you get sued for what your employee does wrong. Another example is this. You're a homeowner and somebody gets hurt on your property. Now, immediately people think, well, that's why I have homeowners liability insurance, and of course, I hope you do. It's a good first line of defense, but most people have not read the fine print in their policy because the fine print says your insurance company will pay only up to a certain amount called the coverage limit. And that is typically $300,000 to $500,000, which may sound like a lot of money, but Forbes magazine reported some time ago that the average damage award in this country has tripled to $1.2 million. So think of this. Somebody gets hurt on your property, the jury returns an award for $1.2 million, your insurance company pays the first $500,000. Anybody see a problem with that? You can be going broke even though you had insurance when juries add zeros to damage awards. A fourth big way people get sued without even thinking about it is because we typically own our assets in what is called joint ownership. Now, there are many forms of joint ownership, but the most common is joint tenancy with right of survivorship. And there was nothing wrong with you owning your assets with your spouse or a parent or child or sibling or friend. There was nothing wrong with that until June 26, 1985, when the U.S. Supreme Court changed the law by ruling that if you have a joint owner who does something wrong, you can now lose every asset you own jointly with them, even though you did nothing wrong yourself. So understand that at one time, joint ownership was a perfectly fine way to own assets. But now, in this day and age, joint ownership literally doubles the risk to your assets. The rule for our clients is you get out of joint ownership. Now, a fifth way a lot of people, especially real estate investors, become vulnerable to a lawsuit is because we're doing business as a general partnership. In other words, you're doing business with a family member or a friend, and you didn't set up a corporation the way you should. Now, even though you didn't sign anything, you are in a general partnership by default. And people often say, well, how bad is that? And the answer is, it's as bad as it gets. The rule is, if you're a partner in a general partnership, you have unlimited personal liability for the debts of the business. You can go broke for what your partner does wrong. And this leads us to the second reason why you only do business as a corporation. If you remember, the first reason is because corporations lower your income taxes. The second reason is because corporations give you liability protection. Folks, let's illustrate it this way. These two people in this general partnership, as fast as they can, will set up a corporation, and now, rather than being two partners in a partnership, they've become two stockholders or two shareholders in a corporation. And now the rules change completely because the rules say a stockholder in a corporation has zero liability for the debts of the business. But if you want to run that same business without a corporation, well, you can do anything you want, but the law says you have unlimited personal liability for the debts of the business. All right. Now, a sixth way. Well, before I go there, I want to point out, a lot of people will say, well, look, I don't have a partner. I'm doing business all by myself, so why would I need a corporation? I don't have a partner to worry about. And that's true. But when you're new at something, you are much more likely to make mistakes. And let's assume one of these mistakes turns into a very unhappy, banker, broker, this, that, the other thing, and they sue your business. Folks, if there's no corporation protecting you, they are suing you personally. And when they sue you personally, they can take everything you own. And for this reason, we do business as a corporation, even if it's just us alone. And yes, you can be typically a one-person corporation. All right? Now, here's an important illustration. Let's say you're doing business as a one-person corporation. Something goes wrong, and they sue your business. Now, ask yourself, who are they suing? You or the corporation? And the answer is they have to sue the corporation, and because they're not suing you, they cannot take your personal assets. All right? So, everybody write down, if you're taking notes, I hope you are, this very important rule, which is corporations generally protect your personal assets. All right? Corporations generally protect your personal assets. All right, now, for those of you who already have a corporation, I want to congratulate you because you're doing it the right way. That is running a business as a corporation. Corporations are good. They're the right way to run a business. But nobody ever said corporations are perfect. And folks, I want to point out there are major loopholes in every single corporation. And if you don't close these loopholes, that'll be exactly where the plaintiff goes to sue you and take your money. Now, we're going to go over these loopholes in our next video. And so I want to thank you for being on this video series. And Web of Force members, we got a lot more to go on lawsuit protection. So join me on our next one. We're going to cover these 3 big loopholes. See you there.